Ah, there we go. We're back again. Sorry about that, guys. Um, my connection just cut there for a second. All right. Um, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Hopefully you guys will come back. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. But anyways, this thing is recording and I'm going to share it. Excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry about that. My connection cut out for a second there, so I had to restart the connection. Nevertheless, we're back on now, so you guys can come back on again. But either way, because we're live, it's basically recording, so you guys can go back to this because I'm going to share it on the page, so you guys can go back to this later on during the week and check it out if you've missed anything. But just to finish the point that I was making just now, I'll just like wait a couple of seconds for everyone to get back on whilst I check out some of the other questions. Okay. I don't know. Is the student to ask the question back on? Because I want to pick up from where I left off, just to wrap up that point. But yeah, like I said, you guys will be able to get this on because it's live, it's recording, so you guys can check it out later during the week if you missed anything. But essentially, I was saying that you will one day you'll be working, and then life will happen, and it will affect the way that you feel when you're coming into work. But then when you wake up in the morning and your alarm goes off, you'll think to yourself that, just says, I don't feel like going to work, but I got bills to pay. I got a job to do. I have people who are relying on me at work. I have a team of people who are relying on me to come into work and to deliver. I have, I have a family at home who is relying on me to go to work and come back with food and come back with electricity and come back with school fees money. I can't drop the ball. So I got to get myself out of bed and get to work and deliver, And that's one thing that you will learn that when you get into the workplace, that the show must go on. It's so true. It's not just a showbiz thing, but the show must go on. So my advice would be, compartmentalize, like learn to compartmentalize the issues that you face in your life, and so that you can focus on what's really, really important. And at this juncture in your life, the most important thing is graduating, getting out of university with a degree, a certificate, getting a job, a good job, and then coming back and, using the influence you have to change the lives of other people, like your life has been changed. That's really all you got to do. So that would be my advice. Compartmentalize, Oh yeah, and so some other things that really do actually help. I'll be honest with you. From my experience, when I was going through the most in university, I found things that, let me put it this way: tap into the things that you enjoy doing. Whatever it is that you enjoy doing that takes your mind off things and makes you feel lighter, tap into those things. For me, growing up as a kid, it was writing, it was poetry, it was music, and sport. So whenever I was stressed or worried, I did more of those things just to feel like I was lighter. So I would play sports, I would write, I would listen to music, I would write my own music. So tap into more of those things whenever you're like struggling and it feels like it's getting a bit too much, because you need to release the pressure one way or another. So that would be my advice on that one. But yeah, I'll also respond. Like I said, I'll respond personally as well. And then there's another question. Hey, I would like to ask that there are sponsors for 2020 funding. Okay, this is another funding question. Like I said, I can't respond to these, but I will forward them to the relevant parties. I don't know if you guys have any other questions. That's all I've got right now. There's also like a lot of questions from... let me pull this up. It's come up a lot actually in the last week. So this is from the medical orthotics and prosthetics students. I've had like maybe 5 or so of them engage with me recently regarding, if I'm not mistaken, it's funding for their internship year. So basically they have to do a year of internship before they can actually qualify to practice in their medical field. but they don't really earn money during that year of internship. So they need accommodation and a monthly stipend. So once again, that's an example of a question I don't really have information on, but I will find out and get back to them. I don't know if the guys who are online have any questions or comments. Feel free to shoot them at me right now. Let me see what else is on here. But if you guys who are online have any questions, or your mates have questions or concerns or whatever, just feel free to type them in. I'm actually watching whoever's online and so forth. Let me see. I think that's it. Let me see. I'm trying to see if there was more. Nope, that is it from the WhatsApp line for today. But keep them coming, and I'll keep responding. I will get back to some of the guys who've asked for personal responses, so don't worry about that. So yeah, if you guys are online, is there anything you guys want to know about, man? Any questions you guys have or concerns? All right, so I'm not seeing anyone typing or anything coming up. I do hope you guys have enjoyed this session. Please, so moving forward, what I really want to do with these sessions is keep them interactive. So I really don't want to give them topics because I want them to be for you and by you. So I want you guys to be asking the questions and to be giving comments so that I can share them, or that I can give you feedback. So I don't really want to give every Facebook chat a topic. I will at some point. Maybe there might be some ones where there's a really interesting topic that I think we all would like to talk about or find out more information about. Perhaps when I do the topic on life after graduation, and I start talking about career development and what to look forward to in your graduation year and what life after graduation looks like and what you should be thinking about. Some of those topics I might actually just have a specific session for Facebook live chat for those ones, because they're quite popular and they're quite lengthy or like meaty topics to cover. But generally speaking, I want it to be a back and forth between me and you guys. So yeah, I think we can close it off. Like, if there aren't any other questions, the only feedback I have from my end. Okay, I'm just waiting. I see there's someone who's asked the question. Let me have a look. No, it's okay. I'll answer. Don't worry about it. We actually still have time. All right. So advise me on this. What activities or things that I can try to do on my last year to prepare for the corporate world? Rafida, do you mind telling me what you're studying? Just out of interest. Well, anyways, whilst you type, I'd just like to find out what you're studying, just out of interest. But anyways, whilst you're letting me know, so there's a couple of things. I think that your last year in varsity is very exciting, especially if you're going from, if after graduation you're actually going to be working. So if you're not going to be studying further immediately after you graduate, you're going to be working. So one thing I would say you should look into, if you don't already have one, is getting a driver's license. Definitely, if you don't already have one, definitely think about, definitely at least get a learner, like start the process of getting a driver's license. So start a learners, start taking lessons and get your driver's license. People, like young people going into the working market, underestimate how much of a competitive advantage it is when you have a license. Because what it means is that when no worries, bro, I see you. But what it means is that when a corporate then hires you, they can give you keys to a car and say, drive, go deliver that, or go drop that off, or go to this meeting, here's the company car. Or can you go and, can you travel on business? We'll rent you a car when you get to Cape Town, or when you get to Johannesburg, we'll rent you a car. Here are the keys. When you don't have that, you lose something, because it means that you either have to be driven, chauffeured, or Ubered everywhere. So now all of the company cars that we have in the lot are going to waste because we can't let you drive. So young people underestimate that, actually. And I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. And when we employ people, one of the things we look for is, do you have a driver's license? And if you don't, it counts against you. And if you don't have a driver's license, the next question would be, can you get one? Do you have intentions of getting a driver's license? And for some people, you'd be surprised, they don't want to drive ever. So that's the first thing I'd say, get a driver's license. It's a genuine competitive advantage. Young people out there underestimate that. The second thing I would say, which to me feels like a no-brainer, but I realize a lot of people don't take this stuff seriously, is have a passport. I see you're studying computer science and informatics, so you have a very bright future ahead of you. So whichever corporate you're going into, there'll definitely be traveling opportunities. Whether you go into a big corporate, a mid-level corporate, or you go into a small startup that just needs talented programmers and coders and is working on some amazing software that's going to change the world, there'll be travel opportunities. Some, travel opportunities that will take you outside of the country. So you have a passport. And I see this with a lot of young people, like I said, I'm an entrepreneur. So in my company, we are currently going through an employment run right now. And so these are things we ask. Do you have a passport? Because we now need to send a team to Swaziland. And even though you don't need a visa to go to Swaziland, you need a passport. We were just in Mozambique not too long ago. You need a passport to cross the border. To go to Lesotho, you need a passport. So get a passport. If you're really serious about your career, I don't understand why you don't have a passport. I'll be honest with you. Even if you don't have any plans for traveling, you must have a valid passport at all times. A valid passport, a valid driver's license, if you're serious about making moves with your career. So start working on that stuff. The other thing that I would say you need to start preparing for is your work ethic. So, and this is very important. So when you are a student, you work really hard and you work really long hours. This is true. It's fact. You're studying, so you're very good at doing all-nighters and all that stuff. But what a lot of people miss about the difference between the kind of work you do when you're a student and the kind of work you do when you are in corporate is the fact that when you are in corporate or when you have a genuine job, you don't only answer to yourself. You answer to a team of people. You have managers and people that you have to report to. So you can't just be like, no, nah, I'm good. I like to start my day late, so I work from 12 o'clock and then I work throughout the whole night. But it doesn't work that way. You have to be up at a certain time and get to work at a certain time and then be there for the whole day. Then you have a 1 hour lunch break and then you must be there until the work is done. So work ethic is extremely important when it comes to having a successful career in the world, in the corporate world. But even as an entrepreneur, you have to have a very disciplined work ethic, which means you don't leave until the job is done. And that's something a lot of young people, when they get into corporate, they sometimes struggle with the fact that, like, how am I working 9 to 9? I got check at 9 or I got check at 8. I'm leaving again at 8. Like, how am I working 8 to 8? This is not like the life that, I dreamed of. Not the life I was told I would get. I was told about 9 to 5. No, Wana, you work until the job is done. 9 to 5 is just what they call it. But there are people in corporate who are working 8 to 8 daily. They're working 12 hours a day, which is, obviously it's not healthy. You have to have a balance, a work-life balance to be healthy. But one thing that will separate you from your peers, Refila, to be honest with you, is work ethic. Because there's a massive perception right now in corporate that the younger generation that's coming into the work space right now are spoiled. They have a sense of entitlement. They don't know what it's like to grind down and work really hard and do the dirty work, they're all digital, so they don't know what it's like to really work hard and have to sift through data and lots of data to find one answer. Or they just pull reports and they do everything digitally. So there's a huge perception in corporate right now that the younger generation, including my generation, that we're spoiled, we're entitled, we're not easy to work with, etc., etc. It's not true. It really isn't true. I genuinely don't believe that it's true. But one thing that I will tell you is that when you get into the workspace and you have that David Beckham mentality. I don't know if you remember David Beckham. You might be too young. But David Beckham was known, he's like Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo. He was known for his work ethic. The first guy in that training and the last one to leave. That's why Bend It Like Beckham became a thing. You know, the first guy in, last one to leave. And he's a legend. You know, legends are not made overnight. Legends are not made, excellence is not made by having a poor work ethic. No matter how talented or how good you are, whatever you do, you have to put in the hours. So I'd say work ethic is something that's really important that will set you apart from your peers when you get into the workplace. The other thing that I would say is you need to be a problem solver. If you can solve problems, then you're adding value. And I say this to you right now because like I said, I'm an entrepreneur, so I have my own company, my own companies. And so I hire people and I also get hired by people. And one thing time and time again that sets me or my company apart from other companies, or that sets the employees that we hire apart from other employees we could have hired, is your ability to problem solve. You have to have a problem-solving mentality if you want to be successful in this life, in this world, and if you want to have a successful career, rather, because that's specific what we're talking about here. If you want to have a successful career, one that blossoms and it grows, and you know you get to see the world and all that stuff, you have to come into a room and be the problem solver. You cannot come into the room and be the one who nitpicks all of the things that are wrong about the idea or all the things that are wrong about the business. You have to come in and be the one who says, okay, here's what we're going to do. And this is why it's going to work. You have to be that person. Because that's value. And, you know, and I think it's Les Brown. He's a motivational speaker, Leslie Brown. Check him out, Les Brown. I think Les Brown once said something along the lines of, if he says, don't worry about making money. Worry about adding value. Because if you add value, people will pay for you. You get that? That sounded profound. Damn. But don't worry too much about chasing the money. Chase adding value. Because if you add value and people can see the value you're adding, people will pay for you. You will not struggle to get people to pay for you if they can see the value you're adding. And having a problem-solving mentality gives you the ability to add value to whatever situation you come into, whatever team you come into. So add value. Be a problem solver and not a problem creator. Yeah. I think those are like the top. I think I've mentioned 4. Those are like the big 4 things that I would say you should really work on. And then I think lastly, just like work on getting your average as high as possible when you graduate. For me, that was one thing that stuck out in my mind at the end of my year was that although I had a lot of difficulties throughout my career, my varsity career, and ups and downs and all the challenges. I told myself that I wanted, I wanted to boost my average in my final year. So I worked really hard on making sure that I have a competitive average. I was not going to be summa cum laude or be on the dean's list, but I wanted to make sure that when I walk into a room or that when I hand my CV in and they ask for my transcript, my average is competitive. They can put my average across the board and be like, this average, it's competitive. Let's interview her. She's good enough to at least be interviewed. And I always say, if you give me an interview, I got the job. Just give me an interview. Even to this day, when I talk about my company and I talk to clients, I'm like, just give me a brief or give me one opportunity, even a small opportunity to show you what we can do. And we'll blow you away. We'll blow you away. Tenfold. So have a good average. Obviously, not everyone is in a position to be dean's list or summa cum laude. But I would say if your average is 60 and above, sorry, let me put it this way. Your average has to be 60. It should be 60 and above. that's the line I would say is the competitive line. But that being said, getting out of university with a degree, once you've got the degree, man, just like go and like do things. Like just go and do things. Like make your life happen. That's what I always say. Don't worry about the rest of the stuff. Just make your life happen. You've got the degree. You've proved that you can do it. Now go and make stuff happen. So yeah, I don't know. Is that helpful, Refilwe? So yeah, passports, license, work ethic, problem solver. Strong academic records. Yeah, man, listen, you've got my WhatsApp. So when me a text on WhatsApp, we can engage further. We can maybe actually just organize a session where I take you through some of the interview tips. Because that's a big thing as well, hey? And that's why I'm saying, your academic record, like your average, whilst it's important, it's not the whole story. Because you can have a really good average and a good academic record, but you're inarticulate, you can't speak to people and convey an idea and communicate properly. So you're never, like, your interviews are always going to be poor. And so people are always going to look at you and just be like, you're just book smart. But, like, there's nothing other than that. You know what I'm saying? So interview skills are actually very important. So drop me a text and then we can chat further. And maybe I can give you some interview tips as well for when you go out and you start interviewing. Yeah. Oh, I think one other thing that I can add here, this is more of a soft thing, is that when you are starting to look for jobs, and anyone else who's interested in this particular topic, and you're looking at companies and whatnot, be very clear on what you want. I know at this point in time you're still young and you don't really know what you want or what you don't want because you don't know what's out there, and you're still having to experience. But with the little that you do know about yourself, from all of the courses that you've taken, assess the ones that you liked, the ones that you didn't like, the stuff that you did well at and the stuff that you didn't do so well at, the things that interest you in your field of study and the things that don't really interest you. What excites you when you wake up in the morning and you think about, working in your career? What really excites you and what doesn't excite you so much? Have more of an understanding of what you're really looking for, at least in this first chapter, this first phase of going out of university and starting to be, in the corporate world. Because what that will help with is, it will help you identify the best fit for you in terms of the company that you're looking for or the role that you're looking for or the environment and the culture that you would rather be in, and that will help you be able to decipher of all of the offers that you will get, which one is the best one for you to take. Because the last thing you want to do at such a young age is take a gig that you're not going to enjoy and you're going to be miserable at, and then now you're stuck in it because, where else can you go? Now you're stuck in it and you have to wait it out until you can get a new opportunity. So I would definitely advise, I always advise young people, do research on the companies that you're applying to. Do research on yourself so you understand that you need to match yourself to the company, and not all companies will be the right fit for you, the right cultural fit for you, and you yourself will not be the right cultural fit for some companies. So be careful in terms of how you strike that balance, and the only way you can do that is to understand yourself better and to know what you want more. I think from my side, that's it. Let me think. Maybe if there's one. Let me just quickly think about my time when I was applying for jobs. What was important? No, I think I'm kind of. Oh yes. I mean, obviously, yeah. Some of the other things that come up a lot are in terms of graduate attributes are leadership and team skills. So your ability to lead and your ability to follow are very key, and that stuff needs to be able to come out when you are, proposing yourself to the corporates. And I always say, and this is why I say the ability to lead and the ability to follow, because those are two different things, but they're equally important. The ability to lead is about being the leader, knowing that the buck stops with you, you're at the forefront of the team, and you need to lead the team and get the job done. The ability to follow means you're a team player. And it means that even though you are a leader and you can lead this team, you respect and understand that it is not for you to lead the team right now. You need to be a team player and take instruction from the leader. Those are two very different things, two very different skills, but two equally important. And if you can master those skills whilst you're in varsity, you have a head up on your peers. So whether you're doing it by leading a committee in one society or a DRES or whatever, and then in another society you're part of a subcommittee where you're being led by someone else and you're learning how to be a team player, you need to plug both of those skills because they set you apart in terms of the way that you're able to interact with people in the corporate world. And everybody loves a team player. There's no leader in the world who doesn't want a team. Everybody loves a team player. And then also everybody loves a leader. They want people with leadership skills. So you've got to have both. It sets you apart. It makes you competitive. So yeah, that's it for me. I don't know if there are any other questions from anybody else. Does ISFAP take third-year students? Wow, I don't know, Sanele. I'll have to find out for you. Could you please just send us a text message on Facebook, or send me a WhatsApp and I'll ask the team. I don't think so, to be honest with you. The last time I checked, I think they take students from first year through to third year. But once again, like I said earlier on when we started the chat, unfortunately, I don't deal with the funding side of things, so I don't actually have an answer to that question right now. But you can send us a text message on Facebook or send me a WhatsApp, and then I can ask the team and find out. So yeah, do any of the other guys on the chat have questions? Thanks for your question, Rafila. I hope that my answer was helpful. But send me a text message and we can continue engaging as well with some other tips and tricks. So we're just about done. It's actually 7 minutes past 7 now. So I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to just wait for a couple of seconds to see if there's anyone else who has questions. This is the last round. If there's anyone else who has questions, I'm going to give you a minute to just type them up and send them through. Otherwise, I think we can wrap up. Oh, wow. Yo, this question is intense. This is a very good question. It's a very intense question. From Tanya. Hi, how do you handle a toxic work environment but you are unable to leave your job? Oh, Tanya, let me tell you something. I don't know how old you are or what your situation is right now or what you're studying, but let me tell you something. That the whole world, or let me say like about probably 70 or 80% of people in the corporate world right now are asking themselves this question. And many of them still don't have an answer. So this is a very good question. I'm very happy that you've brought it up, actually, because I come across it quite often. And I've been in this space myself. Fortunately enough, I am fortunate and blessed enough in my life that I no longer am in such a situation because I'm a full-time entrepreneur now. So I work for my own companies with my business partners and I do my own thing. So I'm in charge of creating a work environment that's healthy for my employees, if anything. But this one's a difficult one. This is a very difficult one, which is why I'm saying it's a good question and the answer to this one isn't easy. And the reason for that is because the reality of adulting and growing up is the fact that we have responsibilities. And I'm sure you know this by now, even in your student experience, you've experienced this, that you have responsibilities. And you can't choose those responsibilities. You can't just choose to walk away or opt out. And when you're adulting, when you're grown up, you find that maybe you're married or maybe you have a family, you have children, you have black tax, which means you're still sending money back home to support your family, your mom, your dad, your siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, that kind of stuff. And so whilst you hate your job and you hate the toxic environment that you're working in, you need the job because you need the money. So you have to balance the two out. So this one's a very difficult one. The first thing that I would say is you need to step away emotionally from your job. And what I mean by that is a lot of people bring passion to the work that they do, and they care about it. Like, they care deeply about the work that they do. And when the company or the environment is not treating them well and is not reciprocating that care and that love, it hurts. And so the first thing I would say, and the first thing that I advise people, because I've done this personally as well, is to emotionally step away from the environment and from the job. So don't allow it to emotionally get to you. Don't allow it to get to your heart. Just keep it here in your mind. Keep it analytical, keep it business, keep it unemotional, keep it clinical. Don't bring it into your heart. Don't bring it into your system. Just leave it here. So that when you leave work, you can leave it at the desk and you are gone. The second thing I would say is start working on an exit strategy. That is probably the most important part of the advice I'm going to give you. Start working on an exit strategy. If you are clear that this environment is toxic, and it's gotten so toxic that it's actually physically unhealthy for you. So now your health is starting to suffer, which is the ultimate line. When your health is physically starting to suffer because of the toxicity. At that point, you're like, okay, fine, I'm done. I want to leave now. Then you start working on an exit strategy. Because, like I said, you have responsibilities. So you can't just walk into the office and just hand in a resignation and be deuces. Doesn't work like that, sweetie. So you just gotta work on an exit strategy. And that basically means starting to now looking for other jobs, searching for opportunities. You're going onto LinkedIn, updating your profile, engaging with recruiters. You're going onto all of the platforms, the HR recruitment platforms. You're putting up your profile on there, and you're engaging with recruiters. You're going to recruiting agencies and alerting them that you are available for employment. So you need to put yourself out there and be very aggressive and intentional about it. And then obviously part of your exit strategy is to know that when is the best time to leave and how does it affect what you get as a package from the company. And this is stuff that is actually very important. And you might not think it's important right now when you are still a student, but when you're in the job and you've been working for a company for 2 years or for 3 years, and now you realize that you don't want to be here anymore, you need to start thinking about the fact that there's a bonus or there's a 13th check that is going to be coming. When is it coming? And if I resign in October, am I still going to get it, or should I wait for December? Or should I actually wait for January once everything has cleared? When is the best time actually to hand in my resignation? You need to start thinking about your pension fund and how you're going to get that out of the company and what you're going to do with it. And are there any tax implications from that perspective? You need to start saving, actually, if you want to leave. If you decided that you want to leave, you must have a kitty of money that's sitting somewhere that will keep you going, and for a bit, for a couple of months. You need to have a kitty that's just sitting, just money that's sitting. Maybe it's money that you had earmarked for a big trip you wanted to take, but you need to have money that is liquid, that you can access at any time. And access that money so that you can make moves, right? So you need money, or you need to understand where do you stand financially. And this is a big deal because whatever offers you're going to get, you also need to assess those offers in terms of what you're currently earning. So sometimes what happens, and I've seen this happen a lot in life, is that people end up leaving their jobs and taking a job that is paying slightly less because they're just so unhappy at their current environment that they just can't anymore. They'll take anything that is paying them enough so they can survive, and then they'll make a plan from there. So understanding where you stand financially is a big part of building a solid exit strategy. So you need to understand what does your debt look like? How many loans do you have? What do your assets look like? How many assets do you have? And how quickly can you liquidate those assets if you needed to? How far are you with paying off your car or your house if you have that? What about your children? How much do your children cost you per month? You have to think about all of that stuff. So thinking about your finances is an important part of your exit strategy. And then I've mentioned, finding a job. So being very aggressive about looking for a job and putting yourself out there. And then I think one more thing that's really important for me is you have to find the pockets of joy in life. And I'm a very big believer in a gratitude attitude. You have to find pockets of joy in your life because those are the things that will keep you sane. Because when you realize that you no longer want to be in this environment and you want to leave because it's too toxic, the time that it might take you to leave, it's not gonna be a month or 2 weeks or something. It could be 6 months, 9 months, up to 12 or even 18 months for you to eventually be able to implement your exit strategy properly. So in that 18 months, whilst you're still hustling to find something that you are happy to go to and so forth, you need to find the pockets of joy in your life and amplify them and be very intentional and aggressive about amplifying the pockets of joy in your life. Whether that is spending time with your family, date night with your partner, with your spouse or your partner, spending time with friends, with people who love you, who support you, who have your back, who can encourage you, who can make you feel invincible and just make you feel loved. Or maybe you love hiking, love traveling, so maybe you go on a road trip every weekend. And I don't know where you live, but you can go on a 1 hour road trip, a half an hour road trip, just go to a different place that's not too far from where you live and just spend time in the park somewhere or eat ice cream and see different parts of the country. Maybe you love, writing, so write a play about what you're going through. Maybe you love music, start going into music, start playlisting, become a playlister and spend your days after work listening to all sorts of music and playlisting it. Whatever it is that brings you joy and makes you feel lighter, makes you feel more hopeful about life and the possibilities and the prosperity that is there for you. Do that, whatever that is. And I found that really works well for me. Whenever I'm stressed, I'm worried, when I went through a period like that in my life where I was in a toxic environment, finding the pockets of joy and amplifying them worked really well for me. So I started working on my poetry album whilst I was in that environment. I started working on my businesses whilst I was in that environment. So I would go to work and I'd work an entire day and I'd come back and I'd take a shower, I'd eat dinner, and then I'd work more. But this time I'd be working on my dreams, on the things that give me life, that give me passion, the things that wake me up in the morning and make me feel alive. Those things kept me going. So by the time I got to bed, I felt lighter and relaxed. And when I woke up, I felt energized for the day, because I knew that when I'm done with this toxicity, I'm going to come back to my passion and the things that I love doing. And eventually, if I keep doing this long enough, eventually this will be my life. I'll be able to do this stuff full time. So that would be my advice: find pockets of joy and amplify them. So yeah, I don't know if that's helpful, Tanya, but that would be my advice. You need to have a solid exit strategy. Start looking for employment opportunities elsewhere. Find the pockets of joy. Find the pockets of joy and amplify those pockets of joy. I would also advise that when you're looking into employment, don't just look into formal employment. There are a lot of young companies out there that are looking to hire people who are experienced but also have the tenacity to take their business to the next level. So don't rule out entrepreneurship or the startup space when you're looking for employment. So yeah. But thank you for the question. That is actually that's a very good question, and it's a very relevant question right now in this day and age. I can tell you now, there are a lot of people in the working environment who are struggling with that particular thing. So thank you very much for bringing that up. I think a lot of the other students would actually, I hope they watch this during the week, because that's actually a very good question you brought up there. Thank you to all the people who've asked questions today. I really actually enjoyed this. I even lost track of time. My lord, it's almost it's 20 past 7. We've been here almost for an hour. Hectic. All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap up. Like I said, I've got this little dongle over here, so please feel free to WhatsApp me anytime, anywhere, and I'll respond. We will be doing these live chats once a month. So I'll see you guys on the next one. And thank you very much to all of you guys who asked questions and tuned in. We'll be in touch. Thanks a lot. Good night.